Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Gowan, a social studies specialist who partnered with the authors of a Porch Talk, a conversation about archaeology in the Texas Panhandle, to create activities for students to dig into social studies. This video is going to be going over Activity 6, Making Hank's House. So for those of you who don't know, the Hank we're talking about is Hank the cow dog. So what is fantastic about this archaeology book is that it is partnered with an archaeologist and John Erickson, the author of Hank the Cow Dog. So this activity is called Making Hank's House, and it's about utilizing land. So how did people, before we had all of this technology, how did they utilize the land to make their homes, make their houses? So the objective of this activity is for students to use geography and climate to explain why picket post earth lodges were used in the Texas Panhandle and create a miniature version of Hank's picket post house. We have the 7th grade social studies standards listed at the bottom of the page for you to reference and coordinate with this activity. The educator's guide outlines how you can do this. The activity materials, we've provided lots of images for students to use as resources. But then as far as material suggestions for making Hank's house, that's kind of open game. So you could either, give this list to your students and they bring in whatever they want. You could curate resources from school or other places in order for students to have fun making their smaller versions of Hank's house. We also have a reading strategy to go along with sections of the Porch Talk book. So as students are reading the picket post earth lodges in Oklahoma and Texas, they discuss this question with a partner or small group. What evidence was given to justify Hank's house as a picket post house? So specifically in the book, it talks about how they came about figuring that Hank's house was a picket post house through different clues they were given based on the archaeology. So the activity instructions are for students to use the images and diagrams of picket post earth lodges and little miniature versions of Hank's house in order to create their own. Then they record their process through notes and pictures, so however you want to structure that in your classroom. The security briefing gives words of wisdom, a nice little introduction from Hank's point of view, and then it gives the activity instructions for your students. The next resource listed are different images for students to analyze how these houses were put together based on what we know from archaeology. You have lots of different images with different perspectives on how these were created to give kids kind of a step-by-step process. Now, if your students are not visual learners, we also have a construction process that is listed. So on how Hank's house was created. Now, obviously, some of the materials listed here are not going to be what students have to work with. So they're going to have to make some adjustments on scale for sure. And then here is where they can record their process for creating Hank's house. I think it'd be nice to give your students optional to write it down, to do pictures if they would rather do it visually. It's completely up to you as a teacher what you think would be best. The next one is the writing piece for them to analyze the creation of Hank's house and why were picket post earth lodges used in the Texas Panhandle. So not only are they going to try to create the house, but then they have to connect this type of housing structure with the geography and climate of the Texas Panhandle. So why was the house used by those peoples? Using geography and climate to explain their answer. So you have a question, claim, evidence, and reasoning handout for students to access. And as an additional tool, there are question, claim, and evidence and reasoning question stems as well. I hope you enjoy this activity for making Hank's house. We've also done a supplemental video of us making Hank's house, which will give your students a good laugh. We did the best we could. So if you would like to have more of a visual example for your students, that is also available to you. Thank you.